you're not doing it per se to generate income. You're offering, it's a lot more meaningful than that. Money is money, but if you can offer a product and a service and you voluntarily exceed their expectations, that's a win-win.
This is The Producers. I'm Dani Valent. Robert Jones was born on Stoney Rises, the third generation on his family's sheep farm in central Victoria. In 1985, he saw the need for diversification in a traditional livestock enterprise, so he launched Tuki, a trout fishing venue where visitors could come to catch a fish and, if they wanted, have it cooked for them on the property. Nearly 40 years later, Tuki is a restaurant, farm and accommodation destination with an exciting new dining chapter underway.
All right, so look, I'm Robert Jones, and in 1985 we started an idea of having a trout farm called Tuki Trout Farm, and from there it's kept developing from a trout fishing experience to a catching and dining experience. And as things have progressed in time, we've progressed with offering further and further services, as in accommodation, and we do functions and weddings and events and conferences, but still predominantly relying upon people to come and enjoy that source of food from the pond to the pan. And it's proved to be a good idea and sustainable over 39 years. It's been very exciting. We're third generation here on the property, and it was the early settlers started in 1860 as a sheep property, and it still is today.
Robert was born on the farm and thrown into sheep handling at an early age. Though the farm has different income streams now, lamb is still an important part of the operation.
I was born on the farm and been here all my life farming, and then in that interim stage since 85 we've been dedicated tourism people since 1985 for 39 years, as well as running our farm. It's a 1,500 acre property, and we run between 1,500 and 2,000 ewes, producing lambs annually. So we do all the farming things, as in sheep and crutching and shearing and sheep handling and feeding and etc. So it's quite a busy overall working farm. As time has gone by, we've incorporated our lamb into our menu from our property. So we're good lamb producers, and we serve wonderful lamb to the table from our property. And that's been a much appreciated aspect. We rely upon our local abattoir, which now is Hardwicks at Kyneton, and then I would do a trip over with 10 or a dozen lambs, and they have a lovely trip to Kyneton, and always call into Grist's Bakery on the way over, and for ourselves, not for the lambs, and buy some nice bread. The lambs come back to our cool room as dressed lamb, and it's just a nice transition. They're easy care once they've been returned back to our cool room. We will do roast legs of lamb, we do racks, we do mid-loins, tenderloins, all those nice cuts. We do lovely products from our trim to support our restaurant. It's a distinctive flavour, being reared on nice native pastures on Stoney Rises. We're not certified organic, but we have natural practices in, once again, not heavy stocking rates, just rotational grazing, and they live on a lot of variety of natural grasses and some improved species, so they're pretty happy lambs.
Generational farms can find it hard to change tracks, but Robert Jones is very clear-eyed about the advantages of expanding into the visitor economy.
I love the farm life, and I love the freedom and the opportunity that it all offered. It's a very fulfilling experience. In many cases, I very much have enjoyed the development of tourism within the property. It creates a much more diverse and enormous amount more opportunity. The only thing I suppose farming has always offered then and now is that you're a price taker, and it's always the uncertainty. You can cope with the uncertainty of seasons, but when you have uncertainty of commodity prices, it's been wonderful to go into tourism and hospitality where you're a price maker, not a price taker. At the moment, Victorian tourism is doing the point of difference, and that's been our greatest strength here at Tuki, is the point of difference, that we have a 2K private driveway into the centre of our property. We have a 100K view to the Great Pyrenees Ranges, and we have a 200K vista from basically Mount Alexandra, Bendigo, right across to Ballarat from the front room of our restaurant. We have 1,100 metre airstrip, and it's the property's called Stoney Rises, and we do have plenty of stones around. And but that's the historic name of the property, and we've continued that name. But our tourism name is Tuki, named after our Tukidale sheep that originally came from New Zealand in 1978.
Putting fish in a pond for people to catch themselves sounds quite tricky. What are the ins and outs of a catch-your-own-fish business?
The trout operation, we run 20,000 fish per year at this stage. We used to run more at different stages when we were profiting, but at this stage we're downplaying it more to be on or less than 20,000 trout that we grow out. We've got a lot of growing ponds that retriculate. The water retriculates through for aeration, and then we grade the trout back into our fishing ponds where people can enjoy pleasant fishing where they're guaranteed a catch. When we removed ourselves from the manufacturing focus, I needed to create another business to generate a stronger income than just farming. And I thought within the farm, perhaps if I offered tourism and offered perhaps a fishing experience, that would be significant to generate a additional income within the farm without buying another farm. And from that idea, it proved to be very well received by local and by tourist people coming into the region. So from that day, we put our bit of information out with basic marketing. It became very well appreciated by people far and wide.
If you're thinking about diversifying, the possibilities might at first seem endless. Why did the idea of trout hook Robert Jones?
Look, I suppose it's talked about even today how there's a huge, the fishing industry is a huge industry where people want to do recreational fishing, and people like to catch, but certainly go fishing on the prospects of catching fish generally. And I felt that it was an opportunity to tap into that. So you've got to have an idea, and then you've got to implement your idea. And for 39 years later, that idea has been still pursued keenly. More so today, most probably noting the source of food. So we've had even to the extreme situation where a lady said, "Look, I'm a vegetarian, but I'm going to have the fish today because I know where it's come from. I've caught it, and I know it's been ethically handled, and I've seen it being prepared, and I'm going to have some trout." So sometimes the origin of food is very important to young and old.
Tuki is a lovely property with many visitor possibilities. What actually happens when you make your way along the 2K driveway to meet the owners?
It's a bit of a drafting race because initially it's the meet and greet and how can we help you? And you might say, "Look, I'd love to have lunch, but I would like to catch a fish and take it from there." So we would walk you through to our rod room, organise some rods, some bait, a net. If you wanted to be given a bit of help, we'd walk up and chat and take you up to one of the well-stocked ponds after a short walk, and we would assist you, or you could wish to have independence of fishing and may come back and later on say, "I want some assistance." But at the end of the day, it's important for you to catch and to be able to dine upon your catch if that's what you wish to do. we work on low density because basically the trout fishing is all about you. So we're not on selling them to supermarkets and restaurants in general. So we smoke some of our trout and we make pâté from our smoked trout, but it's predominantly focused on your requirements, moderate stocking levels, healthy spring water, and you focus on generally having something that's sort of on and around pan size or larger. We would either, if we were with you, we would just put the trout to sleep with a little priest and detach it and bring it down to be cleaned straight away. And from there, it's either poached with our new French chef that we've got working with us. He likes to pan fry and do his own style of little capers and his own butter and cream sauces, etc. So that's where we're heading at this stage. I'd fill up the trout and then he would cook it a nice French style. It's a lovely thing to catch and grade your fish you want, whereas I always say to people, if you want to go fishing, you need to accept the fish you catch. And it doesn't always measure up. Sometimes people have high expectations and want to catch the biggest fish in the pond, and they won't. And other people will catch the biggest fish when they're very laid back and just grateful. So it's a great level up.
As Tuki approaches its 40th year, they've welcomed chef Victorian Blaine to the on-site restaurant. It's a new era for Tuki, meaning the offering will go way beyond simple trout dishes. Victor has worked in Michelin star restaurants in London and in Melbourne restaurants Vue de Monde, Atlas Dining and Smith Street Bistro.
Well, what's important is that we're young, turning 70 this year, and part of our enthusiasm to revisit people like yourself, etc., to have the opportunity to talk is that we've brought Victor on board as our head chef. Victorian Blair is from France, and he's come across to Australia, and his last place he's head chef was at Smith Street Bistro in Melbourne, and he's also worked at Vue de Monde as one of their head chefs, and had quite a few notable posts in England. So his interest is to continue his French style of cooking here. So it's been very, very intense, his creative chefing. We've done a pop-up kitchen for 4 weeks with him, with Victoria, and he's headed back to France for 2 weeks, which was already pre-arranged, and he'll be back full-time from the 21st of May. Look, it's been a great experience because Jan and myself, we've carried the main brunt of always cooking and serving and running the whole business. And this has been an opportunity for us to take the pressure off us and put it on to Victor. And he's doing an admirable job. And the diverse of food and his enormous detail of preparation and the sourcing of the best breads and the best cheeses and the best cured meats, etc., has been very interesting, and we've very much enjoyed, and the customers have very much enjoyed his style of cooking.
Robert Jones has made a transition from farming to tourism. What does he think have been the keys to his success?
You need to have a commodity, something you're offering that people want, to go into hospitality. A lot of people, when you asked me earlier on, did I love fishing and go out and cast a line and that type of thing, it's not that I don't dislike that. It's just that what I offered was that you have to perceive what other people want to want to come to your property, and that's the hardest thing. Can you hear me right now? Yeah, so the hardest thing, like even when we're having a full team of shearers and you've got all the activity of sheep and sheepdogs and and wool handling, you'll have a full car park of people, and they will just have a glance at the sheep and the wool shed and all the activity, and they just head down to where they want to go, and that is catch a trout. But so if you invited people to come to your property to enjoy a working farm, they may not want to transact to view and see that. So sometimes, it may not work. Yeah, so look, we're very grateful, and the most important people in your business is you, the visitor to your property. And you've got to be really grateful when people, and look, from when we first started to where we are now, like people will travel a long way, sometimes many hours, to come to your property, and you'll be very respectful of that, because they've driven past lots of other prospective service providers to come to your place for your food or for your product. You like to give people a good time, a good experience, and to be and to get their reaction. It's so you're not doing it per se to generate income. You're offering. It's a lot more meaningful than that. Money is money, but if you can offer a product and a service, and you well and truly exceed their expectations, that's a win-win significantly. And when people say, you don't realise. Now, some people have said it. You don't realise you've just given us such memorable memories we'll never forget in a lifetime. And that's through them doing something like catching, sharing, experiencing, and it could be a big catch of fish, or it could be just their taste experiences in the restaurant. It can be wide and varied, but when you're leaving them with memories, and we're having people coming back 30 years later and never forgetting their time here, and they come back with more friends. Some people come back twice weekly, some people come back bi-weekly, some people come back after 30 years to replenish their memories.
Tuki at Stoney Rises is a 170-year-old farm that's always writing fresh chapters in its story. A working sheep farm, it's also an innovative tourism and hospitality business which values the guests who put themselves in their hands. It's not hard to catch a trout here, and it's almost certain that you'll create some memories too. This is The Producers, a Deep in the Weeds production. I'm Dani Valent. Stay tuned as we talk to some of Australia's best farmers, makers and growers. Follow us on Instagram at Producers Podcast or contact us via deepintheweeds.com.au.